Welcome to the I Love Coaching podcast, the show where we help coaches, entrepreneurs, and leaders build businesses that create massive impact. I'm Adam Roach, alongside my incredible co-host,
Jess Webber, and we're here today to bring you the best strategies, mindset shifts, and real-life success stories to help you level up in your coaching journey.
Whether you're launching your coaching business, scaling to 6 or 7 figures, or just looking for inspiration to push through, this podcast is your go-to resource.
We're bringing you expert insights, real talk, and actionable items every single episode. So if you're ready to take your coaching game to the next level,
then let's dive on in. So we got a big problem. We've got a big problem, and it goes like this. And this is what we're going to solve today. Why you're always busy but still stuck. Gosh, we see this all the time. And we're actually going to give some solutions on how to fix it. But here's what we see. You're in constant motion. You're in meetings. You're in your messages. You're in your to-dos. And you're like, where is my progress? I still feel flat, but it sure feels like I'm doing a lot. Just let's help them today so that they don't feel lazy. And these people, they're just confusing activity with alignment. And that's a big trap, actually.
I'm so excited for this conversation. It's such a timely one because I actually just this week taught a class and I spent an hour teaching people how to get out of their inbox because the average person spends 2.5 hours a day playing in their email. Can you believe that? I mean, that right there is part of this problem of being busy and staying stuck.
I heard someone say this the other day, that emails are someone else's to-do for you. They're not even your to-dos. It's someone else's to-dos for you.
I know where that came from. It came from that lovely blue book right over your shoulder from Mr. Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah. Your email inbox is your to-do list created for you by other people, is what he said. And that is one of the most obnoxious quotes that I remember from that book because of the fact that it hit so deeply in my core of, gosh, dang it, I don't like that because I should be in control of my time. I should be in control of my list, all of those things. And the second that I read that, I was like, holy snap. I know this is a problem for so many other people. And, you know, we come from a background in real estate. I come from a background in education. And I can sit there and go, oh my gosh, yes, I definitely spent a minimum of an hour per inbox back in the day before I created strategies for this. I know that other people are probably feeling the same pain point.
Yeah, no, they totally are. And here's the interesting part. I remember back in the day, and this can be in the tennis day, in the market center KW days, where I had zero time on my calendar. Zero. Mm-hmm. And there was no white space. Like I would teach tennis lessons from like 7:30 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. And I had bought a house that was 35 minutes away. And so I'd have to drive home. And by the way, LA traffic at 9 o'clock is still LA traffic. And I used to let that be like my call time, right? Because I would make my calls or I would listen to books on tape. And though, Jess, I wasn't making progress. Like I was not moving forward. It was just, I was so busy that I felt I was very successful because I was so busy, and I really was marginally successful at the time.
Well, I look at it as so often an addiction to momentum, but you're disconnected from the direction of your goal. And I think that people reward or recognize busyness rather than efficiency and effectiveness towards that goal. And so that's really where I just want to spend some time with you talking about how to get out of this cycle of busyness or momentum and actually make progress.
Yeah. And I'll finish that story because I know our audience can relate. It felt good. I felt so busy. I felt so needed and desired. And Adam, do you have time to go for a lunch? No, I'm sorry. I'm so busy. Boy, how was your week? I'd get asked during the weekend. Man, it was so busy. You know what I realized though is that it was leading me to burnout, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that was the direction that I was going because I felt so busy. I felt so productive that within a very short period of time, I'm like, why do I want to stop this? So yeah, I'm excited to help everybody with this.
I have something similar and I totally get it. Mine was, I was in an office setting and I was one of the top people in the office, which meant I carried a lot of responsibility. And I spent the entire time that the office was open helping other people do their jobs and putting out fires. And then when the office closed was when my job duties actually started and got done.
Crazy.
So I was managing other people and all the things during the open office hours. And then I still had to go home and do my job.
Yeah.
And it was like,
I know there's so many people that relate to this too.
I know other people feel that way, whether it's an entrepreneur who's running their business and they're dealing with customers all day and then actually moving the business forward at night, or whether it's somebody who is in a salaried position and working for somebody else. And I'm sure that they feel that way because it's momentum, it's busyness, it's not progress. Yep. And so we were talking about 3 steps to kind of overcome this. So you want to share the first one?
Yeah, the first one is you really have to audit your inputs. Right? Okay. Well, what does that really mean? Audit my inputs. I'll go back to my story. Working that many hours on the court, if I step into my team leader days, I would meet with agents. I would recruit agents. I would lead the market center, the offices. And then when I acquired 3 more offices, it just became like triple the amount of work. And this is what we know. You cannot create from overload. You really cannot create from overload. So the auditing of the inputs, Jess, is where we've got to realize what is coming into us. What inputs are we actually looking at? Because if we're not in that creative space, if we're not able to actually, you and I know this internal language that I have called, I get a little right? If I don't get my creative space to write on my walls, I get mentally constipated. And having Adam as a mentally constipated visionary is not a pretty sight. Yeah, that's where we get a little spicy. So auditing, you got to audit your inputs. I know you have some great value here too.
Well, I look at inputs as anything that you're consuming that you think might be part of the solution to helping you make progress. But oftentimes it's really just that static, that extra noise that's actually diminishing your ability to produce and move forward. So this is podcasts, it's social media, it's people, it's notifications, it's those meetings that you are told you have to be in, but they're not necessary. I'm thinking of one in particular where they called it a leadership call every single week, and it was an hour, and you were supposed to be there. And what was crazy about it was, this Monday meeting that every leader was supposed to be on for an hour, I could sit there and be like, I didn't get an hour's worth of value out of this. That to me was noise, but I could be intentional and say, hey, I can time block 20 or 30 minutes to go watch the replay on 2x speed and distill the information out of it and make it way more intentional than wasting an hour every Monday, which to me, Mondays were always fire days anyways. You coming off the weekend, you had more things to deal with, more things to juggle, and more initiatives from the top down to deal with than any other day of the week. And it was like, this is not the day for me to sit in an hour meeting and hear other things.
So let's go into the tactical component of this. So how do we audit our inputs? First step, take 24 hours. Take a 24-hour day, or let's just stay with 24 hours first, and list every input that you consume, whether that is podcasts, as Jess said, social components, people, vacation. I mean, think about all the inputs that are coming into you that you're consuming. I bet you'll be very surprised to see how many inputs are coming into you. Secondly, we go back, circle anything that leaves you feeling less clear, more anxious, or just kind of reactive, and then cut out 3 this coming week to regain your bandwidth, because that's really what this boils down to. I used to draw this out is if you think of a circle as 24 hours, and in 24 hours, you sleep roughly 6 to 8 of those hours. Okay, so we take a little chunk out of the circle. And then maybe you have some morning time, which could be, in my case, a walk, some meditation time, some spiritual time, some working out time, and that's roughly 2 hours. Okay, great. There's 10 hours already gone in my day of 24 hours. And then keep doing that all the way around as it relates to your inputs. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh my gosh, half of these inputs, I'm anxious from them. They leave me in a space that I'm not even clear on what in the heck I'm doing. So I love that exercise.
Yeah. I love how visual you are, because you immediately go to circles and drawings and lists. And I'm like, I'm just going to go to my calendar and like red light, green light, everything on the calendar, because I do live by my calendar. and be like, do I like it? Does it help or does it hurt? Oh, I can
Mhm.
eliminate that Zoom call that I really don't actually need to show up for. I don't need to be in this meeting. I can just read the email summary recap, and so whatever strategy works for you, cut out the noise, cut
Yeah.
out the consumption, and be more intentional with it.
Yeah.
And that will help. That audit will help you gain back some space and some clarity.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to the bandwidth, right? Because again, we all
Yeah.
have our own unique bandwidth. And as it relates to time, we have 24 hours in that space. All right. Number 2, Jess, out of 3.
Yeah.
What is it?
So the second strategy here is to define your North Star. So what I mean by that is, what is your big goal, your big driving force? Because so often all of those inputs that we were just talking about are not actually moving the needle on you hitting that one thing that you're focused on. And so, we recognize that you're not really unmotivated, right? You're unclear on what the priorities are.
And we know that from a biblical standpoint, when lack of vision, people perish, right? And the idea behind this, if I go back to my tennis days, in the car, 9:30 at night, and what am I doing? I'm basically a parrot repeating the same thing over and over and over, because at that point in time, I didn't have a North Star. Right. My North Star was to get to Friday, right? Get to Friday, because I took Saturday and Sunday off. Back in the day, Saturdays and Sundays were like party days because we didn't have any kids. And so it was like a continue on top of inputs. Though when you really pay attention to this, you got to have this. So we say from an action standpoint is write down, if I only focus on one thing for the next 90 days, what would move everything forward? If I focus on just one thing over the next 90 days, what would that one thing be? And how fast would it move me forward? Because that really creates some clarity right there.
It does. Well, and to go back to my statement of looking at your calendar, every task, every meeting, everything on your calendar or your to-do list should stack towards that one thing, right?
Yes.
They should be focused and geared towards that. And so you have to actually use a decision filter, for lack of a better way to say it, and say, does this build the life that I want? Or do I need to find a way to let it go because it's not in alignment?
And stop lying to yourself. I know you're lying to yourself right now, everybody, because that question right there, does this build a life that I want? You're lying to yourself if you say that everything on that calendar is a yes. It doesn't. I'm going to tell you right now, it does not. So this may be a tough exercise for you because maybe you can't let go of things. That's okay. I know what that feels like. Maybe you are afraid to tell someone. It's a word that starts with N and ends with an O. No, right? Maybe you're afraid to do that. And so stop lying to yourself and get really clear on that question is, does that activity build the life that I want?
Well, yeah, it's stop being a yes man, start being a no man. It's okay to say no. Giving yourself permission to say no is actually doing a better job for yourself than giving yourself permission to say yes to everything.
And here's the thing for all you amiable people out there, and it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. When you say no to somebody, you're not saying no to them, right? You're actually saying yes to what is the priority for you at the time. Doesn't mean that person you're saying no to is less to you now. And if you think that that's what they're going to feel, maybe you shouldn't be around them anyway. And no is actually a yes to you, right? And that's something that we really have to pay attention to, because I know there's a lot of people out there, and I know that's not measurable, though at the end of the day is I don't want to upset someone.
Yes.
I don't want to upset someone if I say no to them, right? Oh my gosh, someone asked me for a question and I can't say no to them because I'm supposed to be telling them yes, that I can help them. They know you can help you because they came to you. So tell them not right now, right? Tell them not right now because you're focused on something else. I could go down a real rabbit hole with that one, Jess. Though at the end of the day, just know what is supposed to be a yes and what's supposed to be a no.
Sounds good. Well, let's head into the third tactic here to really help people. So do you want to introduce that one?
Deep work, love deep work. Okay. Build deep work time into your week. Okay. So let's go into what is deep work. Deep work is it's kind of a layering of your North Star. It's a layering of your creativity. And the deep work is just as it sounds. You're going deep into something that is in alignment with where you are looking to grow to. If you ever have the opportunity and you're in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and you're by Shem Creek and you're on Mill Street, come into the international headquarters of I Love Coaching, and you can see how I am like a 6-year-old and I have to write on all my walls, because that's how I get into my deep work space, is because you can't build something meaningful in a 7-minute increment, Jess. You just can't do it. You've got to go deeper. You've got to spend hours in some deep work space so that you can actually start to create this creativity. And as I say, remove mental constipation.
I love that. Well, and what do we mean by deep work? Deep work is a 90+ block of time that you are dedicating to your North Star. You're focused on a priority or a thing that is going to move the needle on your North Star. This is not 90 minutes of emails. This is not 90 minutes of tasks on your to-do list. This is not 90 minutes of serving a client. This is something that is moving you forward and giving you that clarity with that uninterrupted time. So Adam is a visual person. He's a whiteboarder. He's a, like he said, a 6-year-old with a crayon, and it's the funniest thing ever. I'm a totally different person in this space, but deep work still matters to me. I use my GPT as a second brain and I argue with it. So I verbally process and instead of visually like Adam. And so I sit there and I argue with my GPT until I run out of time for the day. But no matter the strategy, the concept is I have notifications turned off. I don't answer phone calls. I ignore text messages. I minimize my chat with Adam so he can't bother me, and I mute the notifications so I just ignore him for as long as I need to. And the fact of the matter is that when you are intentional with that deep work time, and I'm saying block at least 2 of those a week, you are going to see a massive difference in the way that you are feeling about achieving or progressing towards your goal.
Yeah. Very simply said, you want clarity? Go find 90 minutes plus to create some deep work on yourself, in your vertical, in the vehicle that you're building. Go spend that time. Jess, we're going to get some pushback here. I don't have 90 minutes. Yes, you do. You've got to go audit your inputs. The moment you audit your inputs and learn to say no is the moment that you will find deep work time space. Well, but my time should be spent in the job that I'm in because they're paying me for that. True. Very true. And in the same breath, though, if you are a mentally constipated person because you don't have clarity on whatever that North Star is, you're going to show up to that job. You're going to show up to that space less than you could be. That is what will happen. So go find this 90 minutes plus time and challenge yourself to go deeper in thought.
Well, again, this could be a whole nother episode and it's a soapbox, but I think the 40-hour work week is an archaic notion that is not actually in alignment with the way that people operate and the way people have energy. And so I will challenge you that you will actually be more effective if you are in a 40-hour work week job if you go take the time of doing some deep work for yourself. And so whether that's your lunch break, whether that's I power through and get all the things I need to get done so I can leave an hour and a half early on a Friday to go do the deep work myself. I don't care how you do it, but do it for yourself and know that you're going to come out on the other side of it a more clear person and a better person for it.
I can give a story here that deep work for me has made me millions of dollars. And I'll share a story. So when I moved to Charleston, 2012, 13-ish, I moved here before the family got here. So I got the family all situated. Well, I came here to Charleston first, got situated with the Keller Williams franchise that I was a part of at the time. And the family was going to come down in I think it was like a month and a half or something. So I bought a house, got that all situated and got all set up. Though I had time to myself. And it was in that time that I was able, as we talked about here in North Star, that I was in the office. Everyone had left. And it was me and a whiteboard. And that whiteboard, it was one of those flip charts, the white paper ones. And I just started writing on this and started writing things that not consumable good, but just things that I wanted, whether that was money, freedom, control, time, all these things. And so I took the vehicle that I was in at that time and said, well, I don't own this, but if I did, what would that look like in that money space, in that time space, in that freedom space, in that control space? And so I started listing all those things down. And so it's just me and this white paper. And I would do this every single day after everyone left because I had nothing else to do, right? The family wasn't here. I love food, but I wasn't really into the foodie space at the time. And so I literally just stayed there. Everybody left and I didn't know anybody. And so, Jess, I kid you not, that was 2013. By 2015, I had followed that path. And I owned 10% of that company. And so I went back to that whiteboard and I started drawing more on it, writing more on it in this deep space, deep workspace. And then that's when I had mapped out that I was going to take my idea to this operating principle and say, hey, if I do this, will you give me 10 shares? And he said, yes. That came from that deep space. In the same breath, while I was doing this, I created the software Recruiting Bridge in the deep workspace. So as I'm learning how to position myself to buy companies, I was also in the space of building a software company that I didn't even know was going to do anything, but I needed that flow to help me in this job to achieve that I wanted to achieve. And the next thing you know, now I have a software company called Recruiting Bridge, and I'm an owner in this Keller Williams franchise. And it all came from deep work because I had my time. And it worked. And it really worked. I share that story with you all simply because it's so important to have clarity, right? And as Jess said, you're not stuck, you all. You really are not stuck. You're just scattered, right? You're literally just scattered in this space of life. And clarity lives on the other side of focus, right? So that time that I got to spend by myself in the deep work was my focus time. Then ironically, Jess, because I'm a 6-year-old, whatever you want to call it, I turned one of the walls. I ran out of white flip charts. And I got so frustrated that I was walking through the office at a time when no one was there. And we had this really big wall that had like old school pictures on it. So I took them down. And I got a paintbrush and I bought some idea paint and I painted idea paint on that wall. And that wall turned into, I put a big sticker at the top. It said think tank, and it was supposed to be for everybody else for their deep work. But guess who monopolized that space?
I don't have a clue.
So you all, that's a little inside story there. In the same breath, I wanted to kind of give that story of how you can build some deep work space, even maybe after hours. You know,
or I'm thinking, you had the luxury of not being accountable to a lot of other people. And so you could do that after your day ended. For me, like I still have a tiny human and a husband and all these things. And so, yes, I try very intentionally to do that in my calendar. But if I'm feeling the pressure of the week and I don't feel like I have that space, that is where, it's an extra morning early wake up type thing. Yeah. Or for example, I'm leaving out of town in 2 weeks. And I am flying out on a slightly earlier flight. So I have that afternoon to myself before everybody else shows up to this big event to do some deep work in my hotel room. So most people would show up to that kind of event and they'd be like, oh, let's go try the food. Let's go party. Let's go do the things. I'm going to be staying right around the corner from a historic site. Let's go on a tour. But for me, that is my deep work space. And my intention is to come out of that with some massive momentum towards a goal that I set for myself this year. And so I'll challenge you, as you said earlier, Adam, people are going to give pushback on, I don't have the time. You do have the time if you're intentional about finding the time.
Yeah, for sure. Yep,
so whatever you need to do to make that space, whether it's the auditing, the inputs, or adjusting the calendar, our challenge to you is to do it so that you can actually have that clarity and that momentum.
For sure. All right, everybody. So that is it. That's all we have for you today. So this is why you're always busy, but still stuck. And the 3 steps are very simple. Audit your inputs, define your North Star, and build deep work time into your week. Jess? You want to land the plane?
That's it. So if you found that this resonated with you, then please continue to stay in our world, get other content from us. So if you go to our website, ilovecoachingco.com, you can subscribe to our newsletter, drop us a line if there's something else that you feel like we need to discuss, because we're here to help. This is our passion space, is to change and serve 100 million lives. And so we're hoping that we can do a little bit of that for you.
And I'm sure we did. Okay. See you guys. Take care. See you. Bye.